Imagine a world where the most respected doctors based their entire understanding of the human body on the studies of someone who had never even dissected a human cadaver. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? Yet this was the reality for centuries. The medical community, including the most brilliant minds of the Renaissance, relied on the teachings of Galen, an ancient Greek physician who lived in the 2nd century AD. Galen's work, though groundbreaking for its time, was riddled with errors because he had never actually seen the inside of a human body. Instead, he based his anatomy on the dissection of animals, particularly pigs and monkeys. This might seem like a minor detail, but it had profound consequences for medical knowledge and practice for over a millennium. Galen was a towering figure in the history of medicine. His works were so revered that they were considered gospel by generations of physicians. He wrote extensively on anatomy, physiology, and pathology, and his theories dominated medical education for centuries. However, Galen's primary source of anatomical knowledge came from dissecting animals, not humans. Roman law prohibited the dissection of human bodies, so Galen had to rely on what he could learn from other animals, especially pigs, which he believed were the most similar to humans. This led to numerous inaccuracies in his descriptions of human anatomy. One of the most significant errors was his belief in the existence of the rete mirabile, a network of blood vessels at the base of the brain that he thought transformed vital spirit into animal spirit. This structure does not exist in humans, but is found in some animals. Despite this, Galen's teachings were accepted as fact, and his errors were perpetuated by subsequent generations of medical practitioners. During the Renaissance, a period of great intellectual and cultural revival, many scholars and physicians turned to the works of ancient Greek and Roman authors for inspiration. This included Galen, whose writings were translated and studied extensively. One of the most prominent figures of this era was Thomas Linacre, a physician to King Henry VIII of England. Linacre, a graduate of the University of Padua, founded the Royal College of Physicians in 1518. To bolster his reputation, he translated several of Galen's works from Greek into Latin, further cementing Galen's influence in the medical world. The Renaissance saw a renewed interest in anatomy, but the methods and knowledge remained deeply rooted in the past. Even the most innovative thinkers of the time, such as Leonardo da Vinci, were constrained by the lack of access to human cadavers. Leonardo, a polymath known for his artistic and scientific genius, conducted detailed anatomical studies. He dissected cadavers and created meticulous drawings of the human body, but his work remained unpublished and largely unknown until the late 19th century. If Leonardo's anatomical treatise had been published, it might have revolutionized medical knowledge much earlier. Christianity played a complex role in the development of anatomy. On one hand, the belief in the immortality of the soul and the contempt for the physical body did not encourage a deep interest in human anatomy. The body was seen as a mere vessel to be discarded after death, which did not bode well for the practice of dissection. On the other hand, the separation of the soul from the body eventually made it easier to accept dissection as a means of understanding the human body. This shift in perspective was gradual and varied across different regions and cultures. In medieval Europe, the practice of dissection was still largely taboo. However, there were occasional instances where dissection was allowed, particularly when the health of the community was at stake. For example, during the Black Death in the 14th century, public health officials in Padua ordered autopsies to determine the cause of death and to identify signs of the plague. These autopsies provided valuable insights into the disease and helped medical students gain practical experience. Medieval Islam also had a significant impact on the study of anatomy. While Islamic scholars were deeply influenced by Galen's works, they did not perform dissections on human cadavers. The anatomical knowledge of Muslim physicians was essentially Galen in Muslim dress. They corrected some of Galen's errors, but these corrections were often made by chance rather than through systematic dissection. One notable example is the correction of Galen's description of the human mandible by an Arab physician who examined a pile of human skeletons during a pestilence in Egypt. The turning point in the study of anatomy came with the work of Andreas Vesalius, a Flemish anatomist and physician who lived in the 16th century. Vesalius was born in Brussels and received his medical education at the University of Paris and the University of Padua, the most prestigious medical school in Europe. Unlike his predecessors, Vesalius was not content to rely on the teachings of Galen. He believed in the importance of direct observation and dissection. Vesalius revolutionized the teaching of anatomy by actively participating in dissections himself, rather than simply supervising while a barber surgeon did the actual work. He also created detailed anatomical charts and diagrams to help his students visualize the human body. His most significant work, De Humani Corporis Fabrica, On the Fabric of the Human Body, published in 1543, was a groundbreaking treatise that corrected many of Galen's errors and provided a more accurate understanding of human anatomy. Vesalius' De Humani Corporis Fabrica was a monumental achievement. It was the first comprehensive and accurate anatomical text of the human body, complete with detailed illustrations. The book challenged the authority of Galen and opened the door to a new era of anatomical research. Vesalius' work demonstrated the importance of empirical observation and dissection in medical education and practice. One of the key contributions of Vesalius was his emphasis on the differences between human and animal anatomy. He showed that many of Galen's descriptions, based on the dissection of animals, were incorrect when applied to humans. For example, he disproved the existence of the rete mirabile and provided accurate descriptions of the human skeleton, muscles, and organs. Vesalius' work also had a significant impact on medical education. His detailed illustrations and descriptions made it easier for students to understand and visualize the human body. The use of visual aids in teaching anatomy became more common, and dissection became an essential part of medical training. Vesalius' contributions to anatomy were not immediately accepted by the medical community. Many physicians, particularly those who were deeply invested in Galen's teachings, were resistant to change. However, over time, the accuracy and detail of Vesalius' work won over even the most skeptical of his peers. His methods and findings became the foundation for modern anatomy. The legacy of Vesalius extends far beyond his lifetime. His emphasis on empirical observation and dissection laid the groundwork for the scientific approach to medicine. His work inspired future generations of anatomists and medical researchers to continue the quest for a deeper understanding of the human body. The story of medical progress is a tale of gradual but significant changes. For centuries, the medical community relied on the teachings of Galen, a brilliant but flawed source of knowledge. The Renaissance saw a renewed interest in anatomy, but it was not until the work of Andreas Vesalius that a more accurate and detailed understanding of the human body was achieved. Vesalius' emphasis on direct observation and dissection marked a turning point in the history of medicine. His legacy is a testament to the importance of empirical research and the pursuit of truth in the face of tradition and authority. The journey from Galen's errors to Vesalius' breakthroughs is a reminder that progress often comes from questioning established norms and embracing new methods. The shock of realizing that the most respected medical authorities were basing their knowledge on flawed sources is a powerful lesson in the value of critical thinking and scientific inquiry. As we continue to advance in the field of medicine, we owe a great debt to the pioneers who dared to challenge the status quo and pave the way for a better understanding of the human body.